For those who didn't hear that, I just had to go off mic because Sandy asked if our stream would be beamed to the screen directly behind Jesse's head. I had to point out that might give Nigel a little bit of an advantage, but yeah, let's not mention that one, eh? You can see in the background we've got a dance troupe set up wearing the Scrabble colours of black and white. I am reassured they are wearing blue, red and pink underwear, however, so I think we're safe. Two stalwarts of the English Scrabble scene there. Philip Cohen and Sandy Simonis, already mentioned. Yeah. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, good to be back.
What are your thoughts on today's matchup?
It should be interesting. Nigel, of course, has plenty of experience playing in chopping malls under chaotic conditions and doing quite well. Jesse has experience in a final like this, having been runner-up at the U.S. Nationals with a playoff a few years ago. Yep. So, yeah, it'll be good to see, and good for the public to see, staring in on them like fish in an aquarium.
I mentioned earlier on that Nigel is utterly impassive. I mean, he doesn't really care what's going on around him, and in fact, he said he enjoyed playing in a shopping mall for the King's Cup. But equally, my thoughts are that Jesse, if he's on a roll, he's strong, but he can tilt slightly under pressure. I mean, what are your thoughts? You know him better than I do.
Yeah, Jesse, he's a very strong player, but he does sometimes have issues with time, and when he gets low on time, he can make errors, and he'll be be rushed in that way. Yeah. Famously, in that final, there was a play where he had under 10 seconds in the end game and made a play that made an overlap, making IR.
Okay.
And he lost one of the games in the finals because of that.
Okay.
But Jesse's been playing very strongly this event, and very consistently. So,
absolutely.
He is mindful of his time. So he should be trying to make some quicker plays to avoid a situation like that later on in the game.
It's interesting. I forget who I was talking to the other night, looking at Nigel's speed of play. He seems to play at a consistent pace. He seems to instantly line up on his rack the move that he's going to play, but then he'll spend a minute and a half just working it out, just thinking about it before it goes down, which can be quite disconcerting on the basis that he might have the winning bonus, the only winning bonus, which you're there dreading him playing. So against me, for example, he had endorser onto an R. It was the only winning play. And usually in those situations, if your opponent's taking a couple of minutes, you think, oh, great, he hasn't got the winning bingo. No. Nigel still laid it down. And it was the only winning move. But I think he was just making sure that it was 100% the best move, which is interesting. But I've never seen him go over time or even get close. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and to some extent that works to, Jesse's advantage in that Nigel's not going to fast play him. He's not going to, go quickly to try and push Jesse over.
Oh, we're just getting underway now. Jesse's got his hand in the bag. The two players drew earlier to see who was going to go first. Jesse won.
So we are underway.
Absolutely.
Here it is.
See the look of concentration on Jesse. Oh, the tongue's out.
And we have our first passerby taking a photograph.
There we go. So we can't quite see his rack. Can we get a shot from the rack camera?
There we go.
There we go. So, Bennett ET. I think there's probably not a lot to talk about here. I think Bennett is possibly the right play. Bet reasonable, but sets up all the hooks.
Yeah. It's a difference of 8 points in score between Bennett and Bet.
Yeah.
And the leads are ET and ENT.
Yeah.
and the equity value of those leaves is probably not an 8-point difference.
8 points, absolutely. So you have to play Bennett in this situation. Nigel one letter away from up wafted. He'll be cursing his bad luck. Still, if he gets a 9-timer and 98 other bonuses and scores 658 against his opponent, he gets away with it. I don't know if that happened at any point in this tournament at all.
That's seems a bit far-fetched.
So Nigel looking at, seems to have FUD lined up in his rack, and going back to what I was saying earlier on, how he lines up what he's going to play. What are our thoughts of FUD versus WUD? Because people would usually just immediately think of playing WUD. And I think the W actually goes quite badly. W goes quite well as long as you get rid of the U as a scoring tile.
Yeah, the PF combination feels really like there's a lot of tension between those two letters. So.
Okay, he's playing FUD.
Yeah. And it does set up a good spot for the W.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting there. So he's actually not played it in the higher scoring position for FUD though. He's not played it across the top of Bennett. He's played it underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is a defensive thing? Because I know very early in games Nigel likes to box up the board. And certainly the games that I've played against him, we've both ended up, after 15 moves, not having broken out of a 4x4 square in the middle, which I'm sure we both enjoyed no end. I think that tends to be his style of play. I think he likes to restrict the board until his opponent forces an opening, and then he seems to bingo into it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more control of what's going on the board right now after the FUD in the lower position.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sets up a scoring spot for the W that, I mean, FUD on top also would, but that scoring spot that, G9 square after FUD at 7G, that would have been the square to take.
Yeah. So. Oh, Jesse playing a straightforward move, balancing LEST, maintaining multiple positions now for the S hook, sked, keys.
So we have Jesse at 54 and Nigel at 21.
Yeah. We're struggling to see. We have a rarity today, ladies and gentlemen. We have sun in London, and this is causing a little bit of a problem with reflections off the racks. So
yeah,
it's got WAP, IRP, something.
Who would have thought that the scheduling it in London would result in too much sun?
Oh, there we go. WAP, IRPD.
But the venue here has a glass ceiling, view of the clouds floating by in the sky, and the sun is breaking through, filling the large atrium with natural light.
Yeah.
It's kind of a breathtaking, really, really nice spot.
Interesting decision by Nigel there. So he had WAP, WAP set up on his rack to obviously play WED WAP. He's decided there to score a lower amount by playing POR instead of WAP. Because he could have played WAP in exactly the same position, but I'm assuming he's done that to not create another S hook. Because Nigel, one of his strengths and one of the things I've noticed as I've looked at his play, if his opponent's going to bingo, he likes to make his opponent play face value bingos, or bingos that are going to give him something back. So by playing POR instead of WAP, he's stopped the ability to play SPET, hitting the double word score and potentially not giving anything back. So looking at Jesse's potential plays here, he's now got things down onto keys. So he's got Meltons, low ments, all of which give back the triple to Nigel. Certainly Melton's so Melton's the better play because the L is a more flexible tile to leave in the triple. And actually I suppose leaving the E, which is probably the most useful floater out of all of that, on the second line. If your opponent does utilise it, they're giving you back a big play onto the triple, so makes sense.
Yeah, for the PAW versus WAP consideration, if the scores were the same, you'd obviously play PAW and create the more defensive position. But it's always a question sitting over the board. Do you give up points for that positional advantage. How many points should you give up?
Absolutely.
And you know, Nigel always seems to understand what the trade-off of the position is in terms of points.
So looking ahead here, we're expecting, I think Nigel's going to play Jimp, keeping Ride, strong play, but that's going to be met with Dog's Tail from Jesse. And Dog's Tail will be a great move for Jesse because it's going to completely kill the top left-hand quadrant of the board. Okay, Nigel's actually playing more Turner, he's playing Jimp here. What are your thoughts on that, Chris? My preference would probably be Jimp rather than Jimpier.
Yeah, so DEIR seems a reasonable leave, strong leave. Jimp takes the Y, and it would set up a really big hot spot there at L12 or L1. So yeah, I'd probably play Jimp here. Just there's only one Y left, but Jesse has 7 random tiles.
Yeah.
No reason to get hit with a 50-point play of YIRR or something.
You can't see it there. Actually, could we get a quick shot of what's going on behind the players to see the crowd there? Because I'm pretty sure that Jesse's going to play Dog's Tail now. But I wonder if the crowd heard it. There you go. You can see people are really clustering around, interested in what's going on.
Yeah,
some looking curious, some looking concerned for these two players in a glass box with the sun beating down on them.
Don't worry, folks, we will let them out for food and water at the appropriate time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one form of torture, but it's not the form you're thinking. Well, Jesse, just looking at his rack, he doesn't. He will know Dog's Tail, won't he?
He'll know it, yeah. He only, it's under the pressure. Your memory plays tricks on you. You know, might be trying to decide. You know, have I seen this before? Have I not seen this before? But he's definitely studied it. He would know it.
You have the wrong rack on Quackle, by the way. He has Goatitas, not Dogales. Yeah. So which makes Dog's Tail an even better move.
Yeah. I know when I'm sitting on on a live stream or an annotation, I think to myself.
So it scores Jesse 128 and Nigel 107 currently.
I always say to myself, I am not going to look dumb on this live stream by missing this bonus. And then just play it.
It's got to be tough. Dogtail not to be mixed up with Goldtail, in that Dogtail does take an S and Goldtail does not.
Yeah.
Not that that's particularly relevant in this situation, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm sure you're interested in my ramblings. And he's not playing.
Oh no.
That's a big miss, actually. He's played Defog.
Yeah.
Defog is, according to Quackle, it's the 3rd best choice. There isn't a bonus. But that's actually a big miss there. There's an opportunity to take control of this board.
Yeah. Puts Jesse on 148.
Yeah, Jesse at 148 there.
And the sun is glaring directly on the board now, but should be. The angle of the sun should be changing quickly, so we'll be able to see something besides the triple word scores soon, I hope.
This is part of the reason that the UK voted out of Europe, coming over here with all their European sun ruining our Scrabble. Unbelievable.
It's the last thing you expect when you come to England.
Yeah. It's a real challenge at the moment. We know Nigel has VU. Can't tell you anything else, and I can't tell you what he's doing to play. Oh dear.
VUL.
Vond?
I think he played Vond.
Okay, so
I'll put Nigel at 129.
Yeah. And Jesse has Tarzia, Serati on his rack, so he's lucked his way out of the miss. So I think Jesse has another opportunity here to get control of this board. He plays Serati, making defogs. Actually, no, he's playing. Okay, well, he's taking the higher score. Makes sense. Sarati does a nice job of beginning to cube off the board again. So plays through the I, would then frustrate, plays down from the E of Vol, down from the D. That puts Jesse on to 225.
Would you have played Sarati, given up the 8 points?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So 8 points, she would have been 217, she would have been 88 up. Possibly not.
Seems a lot to give up this early in the game.
Yeah. So I can see Jesse has a blank.
Yeah.
I can see Nigel looks like he's about to play Zatis.
Just one blank, not 7.
Yeah. Nigel plays Zatis for 68. Taking him to 197. Oh, Jesse has a very nice rack. Great scoring opportunities. Keep the blank.
So yeah, things going Jesse's way so far, even despite the miss of the bonus earlier. The sort of thing that Nigel does, where he controls the openings and is very sort of conservative in that way. Whenever you get an opponent who gets down the first bonus, and then you're trying to play catch up on a board where you've cut down all of these openings, you always kind of, at least when I find myself in that situation, I sort of rue the choice of having, shut everything down. If you do end up in a position where your opponent hits an easy bonus or whatever, and now you're down,
yep,
you sort of want a board that's been opened just willy-nilly. Give yourself the most opportunity to come back, but I'm sure this is the sort of position Nigel finds himself in quite a bit, given his style of play.
Absolutely.
And so he's probably going to be top-notch at figuring out his ways to make new controlled openings for himself to take advantage of.
I was thinking about this, and again I was having a conversation with Nigel about this in the text on the way up last night. I think a lot of players, when they get into Scrabble, they learn how to play Scrabble in a certain way. So there are accepted ways of learning, there are accepted ways of rack management. And a lot of players focus on anagramming and word knowledge, but of course that's completely removed from the reality of playing it on a board. And what Nigel has done, rather than studying accepted methodologies and inverted commas, he's taught himself how to play, and what he plays is winning Scrabble. So his is applied word knowledge rather than word knowledge that you then bring to Scrabble. So in a situation where he has a more controlled board, and it's not just a fencing of word knowledge, he's going to win. The fact that he's also got the word knowledge gives him an advantage. Talking about word knowledge, getting back to the racks, playing Noctour there, great play. Those of you who are listening to my Junior World Championship commentary will know that some of my favourite words are those sixes that do not take any form of hook, and Noctour is one of them.
Yeah, that puts Jesse at 267 and Nigel at 223.
223, yeah. So if we can see, let's try to get a view of Jesse's rack here. So he's got the WH, he's got an F, WFH ARD, yeah.
Jesse's choice last time of playing mix vertically instead of through the eye horizontally, they were both the same score.
Yep.
But that choice now leaves an opening that he'll be able to take advantage of.
Absolutely, yeah. A nice Farad play down the side will score a lot. Like Nigel has got Kawaita or Atosia with an I over the D. He's probably hoping for a nice N to be put out somewhere around M9 so he can play Diaconate, but unlikely to happen. So sure enough, Farad goes down, the right play, scores 51 healthy points, taking Jesse to 318. So it's a 95-point lead and a blank in hand.
Jesse's got to be feeling cautiously optimistic against someone like Nigel, you know, in a glass box in a shopping mall, you can never really feel that you have the game won until the last tile is played. But
absolutely,
you know, up a large bonus with blank in hand. That's,
you feel like you need to be 200 up. It's ridiculous, and this is actually the reason why I lost my second game. Oh, he's got, before I go into the weeping about my second game, he's now got the second blank. Interesting. But no, I was saying this is why I feel I lost my second game against Nigel. I really should have won. I was 130 up, but I played a bonus I wasn't sure of to go 200 up because I felt it was necessary rather than just keep a lead. It's ludicrous. To Nigel there plays Atok, clearly the best player, heavy scoring.
Puts it on 259.
Take him to 259 to 318, so he's 59 behind. Jesse's going to be in the situation now where he's thinking, okay, when is this bonus going to come? He's okay, I hadn't seen this, but he needs a floating W or an O for Chow Chow, which is, I believe, the only 8.
In a situation like this where I have heavy stuff to score and both blanks, sometimes it's nice to just play off the scoring letters and hold on to the blanks and be patient. Bonus is going to come at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe your opponent will play differently, trying to pull the blanks out of the bag. You know, they'll hasten the end of the game, not knowing that the blanks aren't there to draw.
Absolutely. But I think also the key thing here is that a lot of players, if they're holding the blank and they have a lead like this, they'll be creating openings to use their blank. But the challenge there is that you're creating openings that then your opponent can use to come back at you. So the real skill in utilising your good tiles is to make controlled openings, so that when you do play a bingo, actually your bingo is closing the board down. So you don't have to worry about having 3 other openings elsewhere on the board, because then you've got to worry about chasing around. You score less because you're trying to block, and then your opponent has a chance to catch up. I mean, of course, in that situation, if you don't do it very carefully, your opponent can have a bonus, and then you've got a closed board.
Yeah. At this point, it's Nigel's responsibility to create openings.
Yes.
And so Jesse can be patient and not necessarily have to create them himself.
But he doesn't really need openings at the moment because he's got that big Tarsier play. Jesse might be thinking about playing Chow to set up his H down from A1. So a consolation prize, even if he doesn't get the bonus. I mean, the CH blank blank from Howe at L4 is probably the best bonusy keep that he can have.
But the opening it creates on the O column is
huge.
Probably unacceptably volatile.
5 E's, 3 L's left to come, and that S, it's not worth doing. And certainly the unseen tiles are very bingo prone. Interestingly, the only place that if Nigel did have the cue, ladies and gentlemen, we know he has, the only place he can dump it right now is that top left-hand corner where Jesse's looking at playing Chow. At least I'm assuming that's where he's looking at playing Chow. So the way this is going to work out is that Nigel will get stuck with the cue. Unless he's got any other meaningful way that I can see with the brightened letters. I should say, ladies and gentlemen, that the reflection you're now seeing on the tiles is not actually coming from the sun. It's coming from Nigel's mouth as he begins to suck the soul out of Jesse. It's quite gruesome, actually, but we'll look at it later on.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to release a Patronus charm soon, or it's going to get ugly.
Expecto Patronus.
Yeah.
So Jesse's played Chow to go full 89 points up, setting up that H for a consolation play if necessary, but he won't need a consolation play. He's picked out
348. Nigel's 259.
And he's taken out Nigel's Q dump, as I mentioned.
The spectators are starting to gather not just around the glass box, but also on the second level of the atrium. Some people at tables having coffee and some leaning over the railing.
Yeah, that's quite appropriate because the World Championship does take Scrabble to another level, so we should have people up there as well.
Indeed.
I meant to say at the beginning of this commentary that we should play a game of ridiculous setup bingo. So whenever Nigel has a situation like this, we need to call a ridiculous setup that he's going to make. Because if you probably remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you were watching, you were there the year that Nigel was playing. I think it was Gomon in the final, and he made that JEU play, which I called as a commentator, but I thought I was just joking. But no, there it went. So what's he going to do with the cue then?
Nigel played JEU, and then, Gomon sat there and stared for a good 3-4 minutes, just be like, oh, yeah. Now what?
Yeah. Okay, so Nigel plays area. Possibly because he didn't have a ludicrous setup.
You try to make a play that puts an eye in a place that could be beneficial to the cue, but there really wasn't anything to do, at least in this. If he pulls an eye, he has a spot to play QI that's unlikely to be blocked.
So various options here. When he's got a number of bonuses, the delightful anagram of overheld Veladeo, which is a kind of wine, I believe. Or he doesn't even have to play a bonus. Options, just lock, utilising that C that's just set up for 39, keeping VE blank. Looking at the bag, short of drawing the cue, I can't see a 3-tile pickup that would then give him a bonus. Certainly with the openness of this board is now going to play to Jesse's hands rather than Nigel's.
Yeah, and like we were saying, Nigel's area play plays 5 tiles. He has a U for the cube and also the 2 blanks unseen to him. So
yeah, absolutely.
Rather than a smaller play, maybe AI over Tarsier to set up a QI parallel or something like that, plays off the more tiles, which holding the blanks back, helps indicate, sort of goad Nigel into fishing for them.
I think, we all know that Nigel never gets worried or concerned about these things, but he doesn't really have any way of making a massive volatile opening on this board either, which I think is really going to cause him struggle. If Jesse plays lock, that's an extremely good play. For the World Championship, that's really good. That's really, really good, actually. So a lot of players, there's nothing wrong with snatching at the bingo at that point. Actually, Behovely was another option that's been suggested by Quackle. But lock has a better winning rate than the bingo. So it's got to be said, I think Jesse will have seen the bonuses.
It's Jesse at 387.
Yeah, Jesse 387, Nigel 277. So Jesse with 110 point lead and both blanks. I'm pretty sure that's more or less game over. So 11 tiles in the bag.
Yeah, Nigel still has no Q play.
Nigel has no Q play. Jesse's picked the U. So Jesse has all the tiles to help getting rid of the Q. This is one of the interesting things about Scrabble, in that we often look at who wins and who loses, but I've always thought it would be good to just have whoever plays the best. So regardless of how you lose, let's look back and analyse everything, and if you missed a bonus you lose automatically.
Yeah.
Because I think in this game both players have played extremely well. Arguably Nigel has played fractionally better, because he hasn't really, I don't think he's missed anything. I think every play has been the right play. Fudge was more of a stylistic defensive thing. This is the kind of high level that we're talking about now. It's the kind of high level that we're talking about now. We're criticising someone for missing one move in an entire game. Nigel has changed. He has to. Nigel, talking about playing winning Scrabble, the only way he can really win this one now is to bingo and catch his opponent with the cue. He also needs Jesse not to have the. I think he's picked out GESTION.
Yeah, Nigel exchanging, keeping an O, keeping the case O, with several E's unseen. It's not too often that someone would think to chuck the E and keep the O.
Yeah.
But based on the pool, that makes sense for Nigel to do.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Jesse, so 11 unseen. I mean, he should be a little bit careful he doesn't get stung by the cue. So plays such as divulged through the second dive area seems to be the right play.
Yeah, playing it up top is interesting on row 11 because it sets the U right by the triple. Yeah. And with that exchange, would he put Nigel as having thrown the cue back in the bag?
Almost certainly, yeah, I think so. But he's going to take the score here. I mean, yeah, he's not going to.
Can't see whether what he's designating the blank as. Probably a D, but
probably a D. Yeah. You wouldn't think he was going to leave an S there, would you?
No.
Oh, it's pointless anyway. I mean, so we know Nigel's going to play resetting. I would imagine. Although that resetting will, no, I was going to say resetting will definitely lose, but I don't think there's any win. So Nigel just has to play resetting. Scores now are Jesse on 4-6-6, Nigel on 2-7-7.
The crowd around the glass box is growing. They're hanging on players' every word.
And Jesse has avoided the cue. This could be prophetic of how this matchup could go. Drawing 7 of 11, missing the cue. So Nigel has resetting set up on the rack, and he will know that he's playing this, but he will, as I mentioned earlier on, take his time to make sure that he doesn't have another winning play. The simple answer is he doesn't. He'll be thinking, well, what if I can play off 2 tiles? Do I have anything that will get the cue on the double letter score? Well, the answer is no. So Nigel finds himself in an unwinnable situation here. He's been a little bagged.
Yeah, so a place like this where you're behind by more than a bonus, you always think, well, should I try to bonus out?
Yeah.
Will that help?
Yeah.
In this case, the deficit is probably a little too great.
Yeah.
You know, if you could play 2 or 3 and leave the cue in the bag, or if Jesse's drawn the cue and can't play it.
So the 4 in the bag are Q, L, Y, E. So Nigel will also be Q stuck. This is about as much of a beatdown as you can get for the opening of a World Championship final. But you can't say that Nigel's done anything wrong, and certainly apart from the miss of Dog's Tail, which could have been a big miss, but it's worked out fine for Jesse. Seems to have gotten away with it. Well, I say seems to. I mean, he can't possibly not have gotten away with it now. He could pass for the rest of the game and he's safe. So.
And for those of you keeping score, beat down, not yet acceptable, but
downbeat. Okay.
Will be should be added in the next update.
Okay, absolutely. And for those of you who are in London and might have an opportunity to come down to visit us, we are in the Westfield in Shepherd's Bush. We have a delightful setup behind us commemorating 70 years of the life of Scrabble, with 7 different rooms, each one looking at 10 years in the evolution of Scrabble, and there is an opportunity to vote for a new word that you would like to see introduced into the dictionary. Nigel and I, so you have the 2 current resident world champions here, have voted for the word that we think should come in. We'll tell you what that is separately. Nigel out to 3-5-7. So Nigel 119 behind. He has a cue that is never, ever, 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 ever going to get played anywhere.
Jesse double, triple checking that he has the cue stick.
Yeah. And I think this is quite important now. You need to just keep a cool head. You've won this game, but the winning, the losing, actually is totally academic. You need to play the right moves. Just focus on playing good Scrabble, and the wins will come.
The best sequence for Jesse is...
got security are wading in now because members of the public are just getting close to the glass, just sort of trying to lick Nigel's shoulder for luck.
Yeah, going to start tapping on the glass as if they were at the zoo.
Yeah,
which they kind of are, but it's still not acceptable.
They're just looking at Nigel thinking, I'd love to tap that glass.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
See if it'll try and bite or become vexed.
It's nice to have, I guess it's going to sound bizarre, it's nice to have a board that doesn't have anything that's too ridiculous on it, and I know for the average person there's going to be a lot of ridiculousness on there, but at least everything is more or less pronounceable. Interestingly, Crackle is suggesting that the opening play for Jesse with this sequence is to play just hidden top left, which I'm guessing is devaluing the Y, so it stops the LYE play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only place I think for Nigel to score significantly with the Y. So yeah. I mean, he can play YE next to Meltons for 20 something, but yeah, LYE will be 30 something points. So block that first. There's no place for Q to go.
Does Nigel have a big setup play for 300 at this point? I'm just trying to. I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm guessing Nigel has.
Not unless Jimpier has a back hook.
Maybe it does in French. Nigel was saying they're telling me on the way up that FAQ is good, which he pronounced as FAQ, of course, but I think we'll just call it FAQ in this country. That would certainly help him in this situation. Perhaps that's a lie. No, it wouldn't. He would still have it forever.
Yeah, although with OK entering the dictionary, can FAQ be far behind?
IMHO, no.
Yeah.
Actually, I never really thought of that as a good front hook. That would be useful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice though. We already have other acronyms coming into the language via Scrabble, which is great. So, for example, we have TWL, which means baby Scrabble. We have CSW for professional Scrabble. I mean, obviously, so he's decided there to play ABBA. Well, it's all academic at this point. Not the perfect endgame, but it doesn't really matter. I think the only situation this would matter is if both players are tied after 5 games. In which case I believe spread would come in, because spread did kick in for the semis and the quarters. So Nigel's best play now is just YE under Mator. Note that he won't be playing LYE, because YE would give him another play next move. So the chances are that Jesse would play out a tile at a time to maximise the score. Playing Yi stops him doing that, or at least it devalues the benefit of doing it. So Jesse goes to 487, Nigel 385.
Yeah, Jesse's optimal sequence here is still to drop off one tile at a time. It looks like he has about 4 minutes and change left on his clock, so certainly enough time to maybe not calculate the optimal Q stick, but calculate one tile at a time Q stick.
Absolutely. Maybe he could just put a 4-tile outplay on the board and just sit there for 4 minutes and stare at his opponent. I mean, I couldn't advocate that. I mean, that's inappropriate for any World Championship, but I mean, maybe he should just... actually, he has slung the E across, so I think he is thinking about going up piecemeal. These are the kinds of fun situations where you've won and you've just got the luxury of trying to squeeze every last point out.
Yeah, even when it's meaningless or almost meaningless in this case, it's just a hard habit to not do.
Absolutely, and as I said, I think the best way to look at any situation in Scrabble, any game of Scrabble, is it's just a series of puzzles. Whether you win or lose, academic, if you solve the puzzle, each individual puzzle correctly, you may win. You give yourself a better chance of winning. But whether you're winning by 200 or you're losing by 200, you still have a puzzle to solve. Nigel there playing Lai, which is the best player. So, I mean, Nigel has played pretty much perfectly. You can't really take anything away from him. Next, we're expecting none from Jesse.
Yeah, there's a... it looks like he has a sequence that's 3 moves, and it doesn't matter what order they go in, but none is one of them. And Nigel again will likely find Quackle's best choice.
Yeah, I think so. Has he passed already? Oh, he has passed already. He's decided not to take a minute to look at this one.
That would be very Nigel to wait for 45 seconds or a minute and then pass.
Okay, so he plays Pan.
Yep, that's
which is
top.
Top. And then a final outplay of MIDI and RI. How about he plays 2 phonies now and then goes out? You should play MIDI RI and just wink at Nigel and press the clock.
Yeah. And that's it.
Final scores 5-4-1 to Jesse and 3-9-1 to Nigel.
Yeah, well done to Jesse.
Yeah, very well done, Jesse. A strongly played game from both sides. Nigel with the edge in terms of standard, but not a lot to pick between either of them. Got to be said. I mean, we knew it was going to be a high quality matchup coming into this. I think a lot of right decisions made. Just Jesse able to get the momentum at the very beginning, and kept it really.
Yep, and Jesse playing the lock.
I was going to say lock.
Instead of the bonus there,
lock shows a good level of composure. I'm assuming he would have seen the bonuses. I mean, certainly things like overheld he would see. But yeah, when you've got, I mean, I guess part of it he would be thinking, well, Nigel could have a ricey play or something down there for 39 and get a bingo, so I need to take out scoring opportunities, because I don't mind if Nigel gets a bingo, but what he can't do is get a bingo and keep scoring.
Right.
So lock kills one of those opportunities and gives yourself the best chance of getting a bonus next move. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this first game of the 2018 Mattel World Scrabble Championship. Your winner of the opening match is Jesse Day from New York. Very well played, Jesse. I must now pop off and do a bit of chat with other people, but I'll leave you. I think we're probably going to go off for a couple of seconds just while the players set up, compose themselves, but I'll leave you in capable hands of Chris and anyone else who wants as well.
The way the game is